Alpha Best before and after school program.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next agenda item, discussion update outdoor bleachers, Mr. McCaffrey and Mr. Oliver.
Mr. Chairman, members of the school committee, as you know, in the fall, we received a code violation on bleachers at Pilgrim High School and Warwick Veterans. Since that time, the Buildings and Grounds team have presented an as-built design to the building department in Warwick. The work has been completed on the relative to the as-built design that was approved by the building inspector in Warwick. Since that time, it's been brought to our attention, even though our work was done exceptionally well by our team, that now, since we made modifications, they'd like to see us bring it up to ADA code compliant, which would include adding a 59-foot ramp at Warwick Veterans with 2 platforms and a 50-foot ramp at Pilgrim with 2 platforms. In talking with vendors, the cost of adding the ramps would be approximately $50,000. That's including ramps, platforms, to federal code, meeting state guidelines, and also adding rail systems to the existing bleachers. That's the status of the bleachers at both Pilgrim and Warwick Veterans. We were out there yesterday, myself, Mr. Oliver, Mr. Ricks, looking at the project, and I would recommend submitting a plan for review to the state for an exception on this matter before we spend a significant amount of money.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone on the committee?
No.
I do. Thank you. So just to clarify, we did the work, right? We did the work with the risers, and that fixed one problem.
Yes.
Then we're out of compliance with ADA. So if you're in a wheelchair, you can't get up there, and there's no railings up there either. So to spend 50 grand to fix the bleachers when we could conceivably be tearing them down in a year and a half, I don't think is a wise expenditure. However, if we have an avenue to us to appeal, I think it's to the Governor's Commission on Disabilities. I think we should do that, and I would just, I don't think this committee has to make that decision. I think that's just something we can approach. I'll caution that we typically aren't successful there, but I think we need to take the action. I really do. I think we need to try it, run it up the flagpole, and see what happens. Because again, I mean, it would be nice to be able to utilize those. I mean, they were utilized, they're original to the school, I believe. So when I was crawling around on the floor in a cloth diaper, people were in those bleachers and enjoying football games. So, I get it. I think it's bad for it's too bad for the families and of the athletes and the students and the pep rallies and everything else. So I think we should just do the appeal and try our luck there and see what happens. So thank you, Mr. McCaffrey and Mr. Oliver. Thank you for the work that your team did, because you guys did work very hard to put those together. I drive by them almost every day and see you guys out there. Thank you. Next item is discussion update construction projects. Mr. Gothberg.
Good evening, committee, Madam Chair, Superintendent. Sorry, Dave. So I'll start off tonight with some good news about the high school bond. It was approved by the state legislature to be placed on the November ballot for voter consideration and hopeful approval. We'll also be moving forward, hopefully, with some forums, informational forums for the community as we move through the summer and into the fall. And then yesterday, excuse me, I was informed by RIDE that at Pilgrim, the FCI number that has been spoken about before was reevaluated, and it has come in above the 65% threshold. So what that does is that pushes our reimbursement rate to 52.5% for the project, and that adds a little over $7.8 million to our total reimbursement. If we move through the projects that are going on through the district now, at Sherman, interior demolition and abatement has been completed. Electrical and ductwork rough-in is underway. Site work, the substantial site work project begins next week, and steel reinforcement begins the week after next. We have, as information to the committee, we've had 3 break-ins over the last 2.5 weeks. We've called the police every time. The detectives are working extremely hard to catch the culprits. We, as a team, Alberg and my office, has put in some cameras, since the original cameras and alarm had to be removed as we demoed the building. And we did catch pictures of the 6 intruders, and they were placed on Facebook today by the Warwick Police Department. Hopefully we will get some results and find out who they are. At Women, abatement is done on levels A3 and A2. We are moving to B2 next. Demolition is 85 to 90% complete. 85% of the VRF cassettes, those are the heating and air conditioning units that go in the ceiling, are installed. We're making duct connections, refrigerant connections. Duct is running through the building everywhere. Electrical sub-panels have been installed throughout the building. Masonry work is underway and moving along quickly on A3, moving to A2 level next week. The folding partitions have been removed that were in the A3 level and A2, and new walls are being framed up, so we'll have permanent walls there with real doors going through. Roof, the new roof is 50% complete at this point in time, and we are on schedule at this point in time. The Welk roof re-roofing project is about 30% complete at this point in time. Materials were a little later on this project than the others, but they're really moving along quickly. The Cedar Hill roof is 70% complete, and that's looking really good. We should be done in about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on when the edge metal comes in. At the Greenwood abatement and site project, abatement is 25% complete, and site work will start next week. So that'll be the sidewalks around the building, the front and sides, and the new ADA handicap ramp that's going in. At the Park and Scott site projects were had to be rebid, as I informed the committee last time, with a reduced scope, and they came in within budget. There was only one bidder, Tower Construction. They'll be the contractor on the project. I brought it to the building committee this morning for approval. The bid was approved, and we will start within the next 2 weeks going on that. And that will be done, both projects will be done before the start of school. As far as playgrounds, we had to redesign. Budgets were out of whack, as we know. Supply chain is wreaking havoc. So we've changed a few things around. So I'm hoping to get those out to bid in the next 2 weeks. Little delay on those, I apologize. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from any members of the committee? Thank you, Mr. Gothberg. Thank you. The FCI score for Pilgrim, I think we just need to expound on that just a little bit. So the FCI score was what the Jacobs report, which was a state report on the condition of the building. If you exceeded 65%, that was RIDE's recommendation to replace the building.
That's correct.
So our first score 6 or 7 years ago was 50-something. We appealed it. We spent $13,000 to have that done, and the return on that is $7.8 million in increased reimbursement. Having said that, now we've appealed it, so now we've already, RIDE has told us, yes, replace that building because it's not worth sinking money into it. So if we go back to them in the future to say, well, you know what, we just want to remodel that school, they're going to give us the hairy eyeball because they're going to say you came to us saying that you thought the building was beyond saving, and we said yes, and now you want to remodel it. The expectation that they would reimburse us, if I were holding that purse, I would tell you no. So nothing happens in a vacuum, but we were confident that we were going to be successful with that. And I just want to thank you, your team, and everybody involved with all of this work that's going on. It's a very aggressive schedule. There's a lot of stuff that we're doing. It's necessary and it's needed, and so far, so good. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Next agenda item, discussion update, food service program, Ms. Machado.
Sure, just two things. The food service meal applications are now available on the Warwick Public Schools website. We are going back to the traditional National School Lunch Program, so the free and reduced applications are available. And the Warwick Public Schools grab-and-go meals, free breakfast and lunch meals will be distributed to all school-age children in grades K to 12. That includes our transition program students in the parking lot across from Oakland Beach Elementary. Parent pickup is allowed in this program with proof of a student's bus pass, report card, or school photo. Meals can be taken off-site to enjoy. The program runs July 11th to August 19th, weather permitting, from 11:30 to 12:30, with the exception of Monday, August 8th. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Machado. Any questions for Ms. Machado? None? Thank you. Next item, discussion action, elementary principal contract, Mrs. Ruggieri.
Good evening again. I have the next several items on the agenda. The first 5 are of employment contracts, so I'm going to go through them one by one for your consideration. First up, we ask for your approval of the elementary principal contract for Denise Milburn.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I wish to withdraw number 8. The candidate withdrew his application. So moving on to number 9, the assistant coordinator of
Well,
student.
number 7, Ms.
Oh, I'm
Ruggieri, number
sorry.
7.
My apologies. Number 7, the assistant director of special education contract for David Allenbach.
Move approval. Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, number 9, the Assistant Coordinator of Student Information Systems for Lisa Sauer.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And the final contract is for Kristen Murray, the Social Emotional Learning Coordinator.
Move approval. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item, discussion action, still you, Mrs. Ruggieri, administrative, clerical, and middle management restructure.
Thank you. We are looking for favorable action for the restructure proposal that was given in executive session.
Move approval. Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Ruggieri, you again, number
All
12.
right.
Discussion
Then
action,
you're done with
substitute
me.
rates.
Finally, in looking at the substitute rates, I've been before you many times before over the past few years during COVID. Once again, I polled other districts in the state to try and get the going rates, so to speak. Not as many answered this time. I think people don't want to give what their rates are going to be because it's a market out there. So in the responses I got, we're in the ballpark here, so I'd like to start the year. And I would also like to mention that although it's not the same rates as last year, it's significantly more than pre-COVID. For an associate's or bachelor's level, days 1 through 30 are $130, days 31 to 135, $150, and days 135 plus is step. And for ride certified, $150 for days 1 through 30, $175 for days 31 through 135, and again, step after day 135. Also, for our classified subs, I feel strongly we need to keep them at the $15 that we've been doing. It's very difficult to fill these positions. I don't feel we can go back to the pre-COVID levels of the minimum wage that we were paying. I think there's too much responsibility in these jobs to go back to that. And finally, with the structure of the substitutes, we did building subs. We had several of them this year. We were talking with Superintendent Danbrook. She really feels it's important, and I agree, to have some familiarity in the school for building subs. So we would like to leave one in each building and then commit to a pool of subs for every day that we could utilize anywhere we need them in the district. And obviously, as always, we will closely monitor COVID and determine as we go along if we need to make any changes.
Thank you, Ms. Ruggieri. Any questions from the committee? Ms. Backus?
Just wanted to comment on the $15 an hour. Nowadays, that is like the minimum wage. People can go to McDonald's and make more in some cases. So I think that's fair. I don't know, I hope that the sub pay is high enough that we get a good pool of folks.
Yeah, we're in the top third of the districts that replied to me.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else on the committee? Thank you. Ms. Ruggieri, one question. You said this is not the same as this year we just finished up? Is this a different rate for the
Yeah,
subs?
so we did do higher rates this year, and we did a lot of different tiered levels, and it was very difficult to manage for both my office and for payroll. So we're kind of looking back to the pre-COVID way we modeled
Okay.
the rates.
Thank you. All right, so we're looking for a motion to approve substitute rates and building subs for 22 and 23.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next, discussion update. Mr. McGrath, FY 2023 monthly financial report and year-end review.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the school committee. I'm here before you tonight to present the monthly fiscal report. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them.
Questions from the committee? Thank you, Mr. McGrath. A quick question. In your budget summary, you've got balance remaining after encumbrances, $703,179. So is that the end of the year, quote-unquote, surplus?
That's a very loose estimate. We have to close out all the ESSER funds and additional, the additional capital reserve fund with the city. So there's a lot of extra work this year, so I'm not comfortable putting a number out now. I was going to wait until August to kind of lock things down. We have a lot of purchase orders to still close out, ESSER to close out, so that's kind of a rough estimate. Yeah.
Okay, and then even what your August number is still subject to audit?
Correct,
Right.
yes. Yes, the audit won't close out until usually December. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Testa?
Yes, Ms. Backus?
Oh, question. Just a second. Is everything on schedule right now?
In terms of the audit and other
In terms
items?
of the audit?
We're
Finance.
at the very beginnings. My office is a little short-staffed. The city is also experiencing, they lost their controller. So it's very early to tell. I'm putting 100% in. I know what to expect this year, so I'm already having my office, the items we expect for the audit to pull early. So we finished in January of last year, which I thought was a huge success. I don't see why we can't repeat that this year, despite the short staffing, but I think we're in a good place.
Okay. And financially? For
Yes,
the
I
new
d-
year, we're good?
Yes, yeah, with the ESSER funds will help to.
Oh, and ESSER funds, are we slated to receive any additional ESSER funds in the next school year?
Not that I'm aware of, we just have what has been awarded.
All right, so
Yes.
that's basically dried up.
It's been allocated, yes, throughout the,
Okay.
yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Backus. Next agenda item, discussion actions, school building committee, local budget official, that's me, Mr. Testa. As part of the building committee, Mr. Ferrucci served as the former building chair, and he was the local finance authority that's required to be on a building committee by RIDE. He has resigned his position on the building committee, and this morning the building committee approved the appointment of Mr. McGrath as the local finance official for the building committee, but we need to have the school committee formally endorse that. So before you is just a motion to add Mr. McGrath as the local budget official on the school building committee.
Move approval to add Mr. McGrath to the school building committee as the financial guru.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Discussion action item 15, contract Rhode Island Association of School Committees membership renewal. Ms. Danbrook.
Yes, Chairman Tester and members of the school committee, I am recommending a renewal for the membership for Rhode Island Association of School Committee. I also want to congratulate you, Mr. Tester, on becoming the new president. And I also know they offer some valuable resources to the different school committees in the different towns. So I think it's a valuable membership.
Move approval.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Cornell.
Yeah, so regarding this issue, while historically...
Excuse me. The discussion part comes
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
once approval is moved.
Yep. Just
and
need a
it's
second.
seconded.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, discussion. Mr. Cornell.
So, while historically I've opposed this motion because I've disagreed with some policies of the School Committee Association, however, with Mr. Testa's election as president and knowing his commitment to get a right to education, a constitutional right to education in Rhode Island, which we need and which should have passed this year, but due to some members in General Assembly, it didn't. I'll be approving this motion, and I wish Mr. Testa good luck on trying to get this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment from the committee? Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. I'm looking for all in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, discussion action, contract award of legal services, annual renewal. Ms. Danbrook.
Yes, Chairman Tester, members of the school committee, I am recommending that we contract legal services with Hennius, Carroll, and Lombardo. I find them very responsive, very committed, professional, knowledgeable. They always provide excellent guidance, and they are available to all of us 24/7. So I strongly recommend this contract.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Cornell.
Yeah, so just for clarification, I thought we already approved this recently to extend the contract for the Hennies Law Firm.
Has to be done annually, Mr.
Yeah, I
It's
believe.
been a year already?
No, I believe
feels like a few
I
months.
believe what we did several months ago was we made a slight change to the contract.
Okay,
The existing contract in place that expired this year. So this would just be for the upcoming, for the current school year.
okay, and thank you for the clarification.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, discussion action contract awards, maintenance annual contract renewals. Mr. Oliver.
Good evening. I'm requesting your approval on these contracts. If you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them.
We're going to take all these at once, right? Okay. And are there any questions on any of the items? The monthly water treatment and testing, maintenance per operations management system, or fire and sprinkler inspections from any member of the committee?
What is the
Ms.
maintenance
Backus.
essentials?
Say that again, ma'am?
What is the maintenance essentials pro operations? Is that a,
Oh, that is our
Computer
work
program?
order system. School dude.
oh, that's school dude.
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
I'm like, where did school dude go?
Any other comments or questions from the committee?
One other question. Are we
Yes.
up to date with our fire and sprinkler inspections?
Yes, we are.
They're all, excellent, thank you.
No other, no, it's already been seconded. Oh, sorry. Hasn't it? Just move it anyway.
Move approval.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? You already had it? Okay, I'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, discussion action contract award maintenance fire-rated glass at Windman. Mr. Oliver.
Requesting your approval on this contract. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Backus.
Is the glass at Windman now not fire rated?
The glass at Women was broken.
Oh,
It was vandalized.
okay, makes all the sense.
Thank
Is
you,
it
Mr.
covered by insurance?
It'd be reimbursed by the individual that damaged the property.
Oh, they found them, very good. So this is just a pass-through, we're gonna pay for it, but in the end, it'll be.
Well, we'll do our best to be reimbursed.
But wouldn't it be reimbursed under our insurance?
On the insurance,
Yeah,
I don't know, I'd have to look into that.
okay.
I'd get back to you with an answer.
All right. No, it seems like it should. That price.
Historically, we've never put things like this through our insurance.
Okay.
I'd be happy to look into it and see if it can get put through.
All right, thank
Yep,
you.
absolutely.
Any other questions from anyone on the committee? Mr. Albert, just a quick question. Where in Wyndham is that throughout the whole building is fireproof glass, or is it just certain areas?
Pretty much through the entire building, corridor protection, the classroom doors have fiberglass in them and stuff like that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, discussion action number 19, discussion action contract award maintenance LTE cellular communications upgrade to alarm system. Mr. Oliver.
I'm requesting your approval on this contract. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Move approval?
Discussion? Mr. Oliver, I have one question. Is this just at Lippet, or is this throughout the district? Because one of the documents...
It's throughout the district.
Okay, because one of the documents just had the address of Lippet School, so I was just, okay, thank you. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Backus?
Correct. I'm sorry, I couldn't...
What does that consist of? I'm sorry.
Will be an update of a panel inside the building with upgrade of wiring. This is to ensure our monitoring of our heating systems, if we get a leak in the building,
Very
to
good.
continue that type of monitoring.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments from the committee? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item, number 20, discussion action, contract award, elementary, Rhode Island Link, RI Link renewal. Ms. Cousineau.
Good evening, Chairman Testa, school committee members, Superintendent Danbrook. I bring before you a renewal contract for RI Link, subscription and license renewals for educational support. Basically, it's the library package, as it's referred to, for Follett and all the programs and that the librarians and others use. It is a budgeted item.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Number 21, discussion action, contract award, secondary, Mr. McCaffrey, Turnitin and Edgenuity.
Mr. Chairman, members of the school committee, I request your support in approving this requisition for Turnitin.com. It will enable our English teachers to better assess the originality and authenticity of their student work. I request approval.
Move
approval. Second.
Discussion? I just say I'm happy that Turnitin is now at the middle school level. They've been asking for that for a couple of years, and I'm pleased. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
I was just gonna say thank you for that, because the teachers have wanted it, and it's worth it.
agreed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 22, discussion action,
21,
contract
do
award.
we have 21B?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, the discussion action was on A and B, correct, Ms. Daniels? I believe so. Yes, so they both passed.
Okay, perfect.
Number 22, discussion action, contract awards, open purchase orders. Dr. Seisel.
Yes, good evening again. This is the annual non-public textbook purchase order. It's an open order. We are required by state law to purchase textbooks for our Warwick students who attend private schools. So requesting approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And I'd just like to make one quick comment on the free and reduced lunch forms. Want to really encourage the community to fill those out because that directly impacts our grants, federal grants, and for us to qualify for grants. So I would just like to put in that plug. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cecil. We voted that, right? Okay, so we're on to 23. Discussion, action, contract awards, curriculum, Dr. Schultz, items A through J.
Good evening, everybody. I'm really sorry for my voice. I guess I did too much singing over the weekend or something. I wish it was that. It's just laryngitis. I just wanted to ask your approval of all of these items. They are budgeted, and it covers pretty much everything, anywhere from science to some social studies materials to our STAR testing, which is what we use in the high school for math and for reading, and some supplementary materials that the teachers get to use to help create some wonderful things online with their students. And so I'm just hoping for your approval this evening.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion from any members of the committee on any of the items? Dr. Schultz, I just have two things. One, GEMSNet, the GEMSNet contract has, the PD portion of that inflates 2 years every year, according to this, but the regular program itself, does that change, or does that tend to stay relatively stable?
It stayed pretty stable, and I did ask about the change to the professional development and why there was an increase, and there's just been a lot more involvement that they've had with our district. They've really stepped up with our special education teachers and done really catered professional development with them this year, for example. And so the coaching is just invaluable. And so they said they can't reduce that number, but I did ask them to.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
No problem.
2% of $69,000 isn't a lot of dollars, so I get that. And then the GEMSNet program, that was rolled out several years ago. It's a very good program.
yes.
I've heard that across the board from teachers to parents and from some of the kids too, so thank you. And then you mentioned STAR testing.
Yes.
Is that something at some point we want to look at, because we're not convinced that
Absolutely.
that's the best
Yes,
tool
so
to use?
so that's J on the menu here, and what I'd like to do is phase out using that. This is going to be the second year, and it's something that we still have to discuss as a team. But the usage of it and just the data that we're getting, I don't think is accurate. It showed last year that we were stagnant across the board, while the other grades throughout our school district grew, amazing amounts. And so I know that that's also echoed at the high school level. We're not seeing that on the STAR test, whether that be the students, just not taking it as seriously as they need to. We're not sure. And there was a whole article that just came out in the Warwick Beacon where I was quoted for saying a few things, if anyone's interested in looking at that. But what we do have is we have embedded assessments in our new ELA, English Language Arts program at the high school, that we can start to use. So we're looking at that. That we could use that as a screener for the students. I think that they will take that more seriously because it's something that they're using every day for instruction. And then for mathematics, we are looking at, we're piloting 2 different programs at the high school this year. And so with those 2 programs, they also have an embedded assessment. So by the end of this year, I would like to just use those because they're included in the price and we won't have to pay for STAR any longer.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Cornell?
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that we're getting rid of STAR. I remember as a student, I didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't the best test. So I'm glad we'll be moving on to something better.
Thank you.
And that was something RIDE pushed down, right?
RIDE did pay for it last year, and so we wanted something just to see how we were doing after COVID. But it's kind of in a silo. The students aren't used to the platform. They get on it 3 times a year, and that's really it. So it doesn't really connect to a program like the other ones that I just mentioned do. And so I think we're going to see a lot better results with that, and it's going to be more accurate data overall.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee?
Chairman Testa?
Yes, Superintendent.
I just have a comment to Dr. Schultz.
Sure.
I had the pleasure of visiting classrooms and seeing, I know we rolled out the GEMSNet slowly, not to overwhelm everyone, all the teachers with COVID, but I did see the new module with the living organisms. And I walked into a 3rd grade classroom and they were working with crawfish, and the excitement, and even the teachers and the students. and the conversations and collaboration and inquiry-based learning that was taking place was absolutely amazing. So I just want you to know how successful. And I also walked into a second grade class, and they, I believe, had the milkweed.
And
Yeah.
what was it?
Bugs.
The meal? Is it the mealworms? Yes. Yes. My son
Mealworms.
is in that program as well, and he couldn't stop talking about it. So I do know firsthand that it's very impactful.
It's very
and
motivating.
Yes, motivating. They love it. It's super engaging. So yes, thank you.
Any other comments? If none, I'm call a vote. All in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up, public comment. It's the second public comment. This is not limited to agenda items.
Hello. I just want to reiterate what Dr. Schultz was saying about STAR. The problem at the secondary level, though, is that we did have other programs we were using. We were using the grade test, and we were using STAR, and reading specialists did have some other very specific tests to give on a one-to-one basis with students. But previous administrations totally eliminated all progress monitoring or screening for the secondary level. So we're at a point where we're trying to rebuild. And everyone is correct about, especially high school students, not taking the STAR test seriously. I had a high honors student who decided not to take it seriously, and I got a little email from Renaissance saying I needed to check this student because the score was so low for a senior, and so on and so forth. And I did forward that email to the student, and I said, this isn't funny because the district is gathering this data and reporting this data, so I made him retake it the next day. But we do need something for high school that's accurate, because we know we have students who need literacy instruction, and we can't just guess who needs that instruction. We need, accurate data. And I also want to make a comment about the Alpha Best presentation, because I'm glad Patty Cousineau and Karen Backus, David Testa mentioned. I, as the president of the Warwick Teachers Union and a teacher of 34 years, took great offense at the comment that this after-school daycare would somehow provide the discovery zones that our elementary teachers couldn't do during the school day. That's highly offensive, because you don't have even certified teachers. You're talking about an 18-year-old with a GED. So, I'm very passionate about this, because our teachers in Rhode Island have to be certified, and our teachers jump through a lot of hoops in order to maintain certification. So I would think you would want to have more qualified teachers who are providing these kind of discoveries, discovery options, and for our students. And we do teach critical thinking and problem solving as part of a day-to-day teaching. So this is a daycare after school. This is not in place of what we're doing. It cannot be, and I don't like the implication out there that it would be. So I do thank the administrators and school committee people that already mentioned it, but I wanted to bring it up too, because I was particularly offended. Thank you.
Good evening. Caitlin Regan, special educator at Warwick Neck Elementary School in the IES program, the Intensive Emotional Support. Recently, we were able to make the much-needed consolidation of elementary IES programs into one building at Warwick Neck. This will greatly strengthen our program by allowing stronger alignment between the programs, a more cohesive understanding of our social-emotional learning. However, this will also increase the number of students in our programs at Warwick Neck to close to 20 students across 3 classrooms. Due to these numbers, it is imperative that Warwick Neck have a full-time social worker. With the level of involvement that these programs are going to require, through servicing their mental health needs, communicating with outside providers, managing crisis emergency situations, it will be putting student and staff physical and mental health at risk by not fully staffing this program at the level that is needed through the full-time support of a social worker. It has been relayed that there is currently no money budgeted to support this additional position, despite continually adding administrative, specialist, and building sub-positions. When necessary, there are adjustments made to accommodate based on student need, such as additional classroom positions at the elementary level or other high-priority needs. This is an extremely high-priority need. Please consider adding this position of a full-time social worker at Warwick Neck to the budget, keeping the safety and mental health of everyone in mind. Thank you.
Hi, Tracy McDermott, teacher assistant in the IES program at Warwick Neck. I would just like to reiterate everything that Caitlin said. Our numbers will double in that building for students with intensive emotional support needs. To have a half-time social worker, one that we have already called on numerous occasions to come over in emergency situations, to come from the other school building that they work in. It's a necessity. This is the first time, I have to say, in like 20 years that I've been part of the Warwick school system, and probably 25 years coming here, that the city has actually given us all the money that we've asked for. And then some. They actually gave a little extra for a couple of TA positions. The state has reconfigured their numbers where now Warwick and Cranston is getting more reimbursement than they used to. We can squeeze in one social worker. We desperately need a full-time one at Warwick Neck. I think we need full-time social workers at every building in the district. But now that all of IES Elementary is in Warwick Neck, we are in desperate need of a full-time person. So I hope that you can rearrange some funding and make that happen for the safety, security, mental well-being of all of those that are part of that program, students and staff alike. So I do ask for that. A couple other things that I just want to mention. As far as transparency goes, it was very strange to me to see that line item of classified middle management, whatever that was on the agenda tonight, that you discussed in closed session, and then you came out and there was no discussion of what that was all about. We don't have to name personnel, we don't have to name, people, whatever, but a general discussion. Are we changing a position to now be a middle management or a management position? It's just odd that we're not saying what that is. We have, like, those of us that are out in the public have no idea what that agenda item is. So in the future, if we could, let people know that. We don't have to name any names. We just need to, refer to positions. If there are changes, it's a public school building. We should all know. Lastly, every time I look at the school department website, 2021, 2022 calendar's up. The 2022-2023 calendar that you guys voted on has not been put up on the website. I know that RIDE has made some changes as far as PD Day go and some changes to that calendar, and maybe that's why, but we as employees and as parents need to know dates of holidays and when things are happening, because we're all planning and there's no calendar up there. So if somebody could take care of that, would be great. Thank you.
Anyone else with public comment? Okay. Hearing none. Future meetings, the next monthly school committee meeting will be Tuesday, August 9th at Warwick Veterans, time to be determined. If there's no other business before the committee, looking for a motion to adjourn?
Just,
Ms. Backus?
Mr. Testa, thank you for running the meeting. You did a superb job.
I concur.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.